Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Walgemuth, and today I'm going to walk you through my instructional design plan for Instructional Design MED 7809 for Wilmington University. So, a little bit about me. My name again is Kevin Walgemuth. I am a sixth grade English language arts teacher for Selbyville Middle School in the Indian River School District. I have a bachelor's degree in elementary education and special education, and I am currently pursuing my degree in applied technology through Wilmington University. This is going to be my fourth year teaching, and I've spent all four of my years at Selbyville Middle School, first serving as a special education teacher for 2 years, and then recently getting switched over to English language arts. The performance context for my instructional design plan. The course is sixth grade English language arts, and the specific content that I am focusing on is writing an informative essay. So all of my plan is aligned with the Common Core standards for sixth grade writing, and the specific power standard that I am targeting is for students to write informative or explanatory text. So explanatory is synonymous with informative. To examine a topic and convey ideas, concepts, and information through the selection, organization, and analysis of relevant content. So this course is mandatory for all sixth graders. Anybody who is in sixth grade must take it. And the course has students who receive special education services, students who have 504 plans, students who are English language learners, and just general regular education students as well take part in this course. So the problem that has been identified and was the reason for the focus of this instructional design plan was that incoming sixth graders are not proficient in formal writing. A lot of them, when they are writing, utilize informal skills such as just typing U or writing U instead of YOU, kind of like how they've been prepared to write through the way that they practice typing to their friends or just some of the informal practices they've built up. So a lot of them are lacking formal writing skills, and many of them are unable to adequately cite evidence to support their writing. So we wanted to work on that as well while preparing them to avoid plagiarism in formal writing too. So obviously those skills are very important to writing an informative essay where you're teaching someone about a certain topic that you are an expert in. And being able to write proficiently through informative essays is a sixth grade standard, and it is going to be a standard moving forward in their future grades as well. So it's absolutely a skill that we want to focus on in the sixth grade English language arts course. So the overall instructional goal for the instructional design plan is mirrored with the Common Core standard that I read to you previously. And it is students will be able to write informative text to examine a topic, convey ideas, concepts, and information through the selection, organization, and analysis of relevant content. So specifically the relevant content piece at the end of that goal is that students will find and use relevant evidence to their topic and make sure that it's reliable versus unreliable. So students will take part before the instructional design plans in a pre-assessment where it's similar, very similar to their final informative essay piece, but for their final piece, they will be able to choose their topic versus for the pre-assessment, they will have three choices for what topic that they will choose to write about for their informative essay. They will be provided 5 sources, 5 relevant sources to use for evidence, and they will be given 2 hours to complete their essay, and they will be scored on a rubric for the pre-assessment to see where they are at, see what skills need to be focused on, and how many of these skills they previously had or possessed before attending the course. So that will the pre-assessment will serve as the baseline that will be compared to the results from the post-assessment at the end of the unit. So I do have a curriculum map that was used to map out the different goals and lessons that will have to be established for the instructional design plan. So the overarching goal is the instructional goal up at the top here. And then I broke that into 3 different segments based on these verbs that are in the standards. So convey ideas, concepts, information, organization, relevant content. So the 3 main goals, and each of these goals will have a lesson that focuses on them. Our students will establish and maintain a formal style while they're writing. So again, getting away from that informative writing. Students will introduce a topic and learn to organize the concepts and information. So they'll be able to provide an introduction, body paragraphs, conclusion that are organized and adequate for an informative essay. And then students will develop the topic with relevant facts, definitions, concrete details, quotations, paraphrasing. And then these are the skills that will help to build, and they will be the focus of the 3 lessons. And then down here in pink, I have prerequisite skills. So these are skills that students should have an idea of before attending 6th grade. They've been visited in standards and concepts from elementary school. So 1st grade through 5th grade, they should have visited some of these skills, but they will also be assessed in the pre-assessment to see how much work they will require throughout the unit, just to make sure that they have those skills so they can write their final piece. I'm including some evidence-based instructional strategies throughout the unit to help my students develop their final piece. So one of the major components of my instructional plan, something that I've been using for a few years now, is student choice. So student choice is offering students a way to take ownership of their work by developing choices that interest them and giving students different avenues to achieve their goals. So the main student choice that will be active throughout this unit is students will be able to totally choose which topic they want to inform the reader about through their essay. We are going to provide students 15 choices, and they can even use any ideas outside that choice as long as it is appropriate for the goal of their essay. And there's also going to be choice throughout the learning activities. So they will be able to choose different prompts for their formative essays. They will be able to choose different avenues to show what they have learned throughout their formative assessments. Because there are students who receive special education services in my course, and there are also gifted learners and students that have varying student readiness, student interest, learning profiles, there will be differentiation provided throughout the instructional plan. Self-assessment is also going to be a piece of my unit. Students will use rubrics to self-assess their final writing, and they will work with each other to assess their own work. And students will reflect on each lesson through writing and discussion posts and journaling. One of the major components of assessment throughout the instruction plan to figure out how students are doing throughout the unit, if they are heading towards building a final product that meets the standard, is they will complete a formative assessment after each learning activity. So there will be 3 lessons throughout the unit, 1 for each objective that falls under the instructional goal. And in each lesson, there will be between 2 and 4 learning activities. And after each learning activity, there will be a formative assessment. Some of these assessments will be just simply teacher observations. Others will be quizzes. Some will be discussion posts. And then I also involve exit tickets as well at the end of a learning activity or at the end of a lesson. So formative assessments will be used to monitor how my students are progressing through the skills, and the data will be evaluated to see if any information needs to be revisited before moving on. Students will also be completing summative assignments and assessments after each lesson. So if we look back at my instructional plan or map, Each of these yellow objectives will be assessed using a summative that students complete at the end of the lesson. So that will either be a short writing piece, it will be a summative test on Schoology to assess what they have learned throughout the lesson. And then the final piece, their informative essay that will be written, will be a 5-paragraph essay at least, and that will serve as their final summative for the unit. And it will be graded by me on a rubric, and then private writing conferences will be held after their final grade has been given. So the overall goal of the instructional plan is for students to be 70% of students to be proficient in writing an informative essay. So based on the pre-assessment and then the final assessment of their piece, the grading of their piece, it will be based on a rubric that mirrors the DESA rubric for the state of Delaware writing, where students either get a 1, 2, or a 3 or a 4 on their essay, and a 3 or a 4 would be considered proficient. So the goal is for 70% of my students to be proficient in writing an informative essay. So if that is not met, students will have private conferences in addition to the conference that they have to review their work and their grade on the final assessment. And the data will be analyzed from both formative and summative assessments to see what will need to be revisited from the instructional plan to make sure that it is successful. Students will also complete Google Forms to inform the teacher of their opinions of the unit, and class conversations as a whole group will be held as well. So my overall reflection and thoughts before completing the instructional design plan, we had read about the systems approach in the first week's reading, and it seemed clear enough at that point, but some of the instructional design aspects always seemed kind of intangible to me, because maybe like my instructional coaches at my school were handling some of the goal aligning and alignment with standards, and then I was just told what to be taught, or maybe we just followed a curriculum that gave you the steps of a lesson or an instructional design plan. So building it myself and going through this process has really helped me understand the systems approach, as all of those parts of the instructional plan are connected and each serves a specific purpose. And having built that myself now, I have built that confidence in being able to design an entire unit, which I've just done. It's definitely a time-consuming endeavor to design an entire instructional design plan for a unit, but once it's done and I can look back and see how everything's aligned perfectly, and then you have your lessons aligned with that as well, it really makes the system seem like it's going to be seamless throughout instruction. And now, using that knowledge and the confidence in being able to do that, I plan to do that for future units as well. So informative writing is just one aspect of my course. There's also persuasive writing through argumentative writing, and then there's a personal narrative unit as well. So I plan to use this strategy, instructional design, to build units for those too, because I feel like now that I have an understanding for how to properly align my goals with the standard and then align all the other pieces with that as well, I feel like that will benefit my overall instruction throughout this coming year of my course. Thank you for watching my presentation, and have a great day, everybody.